Carol, you just said something I have to ask you about. You said if you start appealing to everyone, I thought that's what this meeting was all about, mass appeal.
Well, I don't feel that that's what it's about. I feel that ultimately you want people to like what you do.
Of course, that's why we're all in this.
Yes, but I think that they will like and respect what you do if you're true to yourself as a person and as an artist, whereas if you start to try and undercut people by trying to second guess, out there they like such and such, they like such and such, and they treat you as though you think exactly the same way as me and we think the same way as them, then I think that you have to appeal to the lowest common denominator instead of the highest, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I think that that's a mistake that a lot of the networks make in thinking
that their mentality is about
that everyone will
14
buy
out there.
anything,
Yeah,
you know? And
that's right.
people are not the same. So, I mean, I try and think, well, what do I think is funny? What is good taste in my mind? And go and try and be honest with that and feel that the public will respond to the honesty of that.
Now, you have a quality, as I described when you sat down. You're different. I mean, you're distinctive. You have a distinctive appearance. Has that ever worked? Has that ever been a problem for you?
Well, I don't know. It reminds me of I once went on a network morning talk show. Are you allowed to say the name?
Sure. They probably need the press.
Okay, well, I went on the Today Show.
The Today Show. That's on NBC. I remember that, yes.
And I was asked on the air, and early in the morning, too, would my career have gone better if I had looked like Bo Derek, you know?
You're kidding.
No,
Those are the same creeps that asked me how much money I made. That was their opening question with me.
No, that's not right, I don't think. And so anyway, I said that I felt it would have gone differently. But honestly speaking...
What did they mean by that?
It's ridiculous, you know. I think that, yes, I mean, maybe there have been times when I wish I looked quote-unquote beautiful in a more standard way, because I think it would be easier to get in a lot of doors. But then on the other hand, it's fun to look in a... Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, you were the perfect type with Gene Wilder in that World's Greatest Lover. Gosh,
thanks, I love that.
Wonderful in that.
Yeah, and I think maybe the fact that I look the way I do perhaps has angled me a little toward comedy, which I love so much.
Sure. And it's so close to tragedy, especially the way some people do comedy.
Yeah, I mean, got anybody in mind, Mike?
No, but comedy is very difficult. I mean, let's face it, I used to do straight for comedians, and boy, when it's not making it, I can't describe that feeling.
But I think I'll tell you something, I think all of the performing arts are difficult.
Oh, sure.
When you're in one, you think, when you're in something dramatic, you think, oh, for a comedy. When you're in something funny, you think, oh, for something straight. But
did you start when you were very young?
I started when I was 7. Professionally when I was 14, but I started acting when I was 7.
What'd you do at 7? Acting at 7?
Yeah,
Were your parents actors?
No, my mother at the time was a dancer. She's now a jazz musician, and yes, internationally known at the moment.
What is her name?
Well, her name is Carol Kane. You wouldn't know her. She's very specialized. She teaches jazz improvisation, and she's developed a new method and has been brought lately to Germany and France. And
what's her instrument?
Piano and voice. But she can teach on any instrument this method.
Jazz improvisation.
Yeah, jazz improvisation. And
not
she
easy
teaches
to teach
classical...
because the ear has to be in the ear, and that's something that's almost God-given. It's like teaching somebody to be funny.
I think, but, you know, what she said is that most children have the ability to improvise because they don't censor themselves yet. You know, so you sit down at a piano, Mike, when you're 5, and you start fooling around and you make yourself a tune, you know. But now that you're a little older, you say, well, wait, that doesn't sound good enough, and you stop it, you know. I don't know the details of the method, but it makes sense to me.
I am told, getting away from that for a moment, that you had an unusual surprise while making another foreign film called La Sabina.
I did?
Yeah.
Oh,
Thank God she remembered, folks.
Thank heavens we'd be in trouble.
Not really. Tell me about
I was asked to fill in for Geraldine Chaplin on this movie. I'm awake, I promise. And anyway, it was in Spain, and I got down there, and I had like a week to pack and get there. And when I got down there, they began to point out to me the parts of the script that would be in Spanish. I would be speaking Spanish, and I don't speak a word of Spanish. So, and I had about 4 days till we began to shoot the wardrobe for everything else. So it was a Spanish, Swedish, English co-production, oddly enough.
And they were doing 3 versions.
No, it's just that some of us spoke Spanish and English in it. One girl, Angela Molina, who's a famous Spanish actress, she spoke only Spanish. Then John Finch, Harriet Anderson, Simon Ward, they all spoke English, and I spoke both, theoretically.
English and Spanish.
Yeah, so someone
you learned
just
it on the spot.
Well, they tape recorded my lines in Spanish. The Swedish consulate spoke perfect Spanish and English, and she tape recorded my lines, and I just went to sleep listening to these lines. It was a little tricky, but it came out okay.
Carol, can you stay? Will you stay for a while?
Sure, I'd love to.
For our next guest?
Thank you.
Our next guest will be comedian Marty Allen right after this.